Okay, welcome back to our podcast, Business for Youth and Teens. This is our second episode, and today we're with Alex. So Alex is a Taiwanese American who grew up in LA, and then you went to UCLA, and then you came back in Taiwan, and now you've been here ever since.
Yes. So I'd like to say hi to all your fans out there, Adam and Marcus. My name is Alex Niu. Like you said, I grew up in LA, and I've been in Taiwan now in the business for almost 26 years in Taiwan. Wow. So it's been a long ride.
Yeah.
I'm happy to be here. Thank you for inviting me.
Yeah, thank you. So how did you first get into sort of what you're doing now, the entertainment industry?
To make a 27-year story really short, I came back to Taiwan to play basketball.
Okay.
I first came back to play pro ball. I played ball all the way through my youth, high school, college in LA. And then I met a scout at this basketball tournament in Las Vegas. He was looking for players to come back to Taiwan. And then he happened to find me. I had a good game. And it just so happened that I have a Taiwan passport.
Right.
So the puzzle kind of fit.
Yeah.
Because I have a Taiwan passport, I wouldn't count as a foreigner. So I came to Taiwan. Playing professional basketball was much more different than I ever imagined. It wasn't as fun when you play for financial reasons rather than for camaraderie and your friends. It's different. So I came here. It was really tough. But while the 6 months I was here training and playing ball, I met a lot of friends. And then I went to do a TV casting, like a taping for a TV cable show called Rock TV. It's kind of like MTV, Channel V. It's kind of like a music show. And then I got the job as a VJ. So I got the job as a VJ, and then that actually paid more than basketball.
Yeah.
And then it was more fun, and that thing led to more jobs as TV, and then I did radio, and then I did event hosting. And here we are, 27 years later, still here.
Yeah. So for all the people who don't know what a VJ is, can you tell them what it is?
So I'm sure everybody knows what a DJ is, right?
Yeah.
A DJ is a disco jockey. Basically, back in the day, you play records in the radio station, and now you play CDs, and now you just play MP3s. A VJ kind of was born out of the MTV generation in the late 80s and the 90s when music, the genre of music went to television. And then so while you're watching kind of like music television, you needed someone to introduce the next music host or music video or the next segment. So those people became VJs. Basically, instead of DJs, disco jockey, it was a video jockey. So that whole genre is how it came about, VJs. So I did the VJing for a couple of years, and like I said, it led to television, it led to live events. I did radio quite a bit, and here we are still.
You talked a lot about your successes of being a video jockey. Were there any challenges that you faced throughout this journey?
I think there's challenges every step of the way. I think the first initial challenge coming to Taiwan, because I didn't come to Taiwan to be a VJ.
Yeah.
I came to Taiwan to play basketball, and it was supposed to be a temporary thing. 6 months, go back home, move on with my life.
Yeah.
Things actually became really fun. It was a unique job because instead of going into the office every day wearing a suit and tie, I got to interview different people, do different events. It was very dynamic, so it was very fun, and I really enjoyed it. And because of that, I think I really wanted to pursue it. But the very first obstacle that I encountered was language. So when I first came here to Taiwan, I had grown up in the U.S. from kindergarten all the way through college. So Chinese was kind of like a broken language that I spoke at home with just my mom and my dad when we were really young. And then as we got older, we kind of spoke English at home. So my Chinese was kind of like this kindergarten, first grade level, I would say. And then when I first came to Taiwan, it's okay to be a VJ because in the VJ dynamic, they just wanted a lot of English. They wanted people to speak Korean, Japanese, English. And the Chinese almost didn't matter as much. The Mandarin didn't matter. It was almost cool to speak English only. But outside of VJing TV shows, you needed to have a grasp of Chinese. You needed to have a better grasp of Mandarin. So that was probably the very first and most difficult thing because for television, you can still kind of edit. And you can, if you say it wrong, we can 再来一次, we can do it again. But in TV, it's very difficult, especially if it's live.
It's one go.
Or if it's a live event, it doesn't look professional. So I think the language was the big barrier. So I think initially, the first 3 years, I spent a lot of time on my Mandarin. I only hung around with local Taiwanese friends. I was always practicing, and I was reading and kind of writing and kind of like half going to school, like on the side learning, but I had to learn on the fly, you know. And then I think it got to a point where my Chinese was good enough to be able to speak conversely on every day and then do interviews and stuff. And then I kind of stopped. But it was able to get me by. So I think that was the very first difficult thing. The next thing was understanding the difference in culture. I think coming from the US, there's a certain type of social culture you're used to, interactions with people, how you greet, how you talk, how you interact with friends, and the things you say. I think Taiwanese generally at the time in the 90s, they're more conservative. So I think for them, like Americans were more shocking in how they say and express themselves. I think that took a little bit of time. So language and the culture were the initial difficulties. And then once you kind of get those two in the bag, you kind of go with the flow more. And then I would say that the next challenge that I faced was actually the next aptitude of Chinese, because I can do pretty much interviews, but to really read and write, it was a very difficult thing. And that is still my challenge today. It's one of those things that I never got back to. After 25 years, I still haven't gone back to school. I wish I did, because I think that's the next barrier that would keep me from getting different types of jobs.
Was it a hard decision to make? You talked about transitioning from a professional basketball player to a jockey. And
no, man, it was super easy. So, like I said, when I first came to play basketball in Taiwan, you guys are boys. And if somebody came up to you and said, you want to play pro ball, you want to play pro basketball, you want to play pro baseball, you want to be a pro swimmer or tennis player, you'd be like, let's do it. What do I sign, right? Yeah. It's like a dream.
Yeah.
And so I felt that too. When this scout was in Las Vegas, he's like, hey, do you have an interest in coming to Taiwan to play ball? I was like, what are you talking about, dude? Let's get on the plane now. Let's go. Yeah. And then when I came here, and it was like this, you're all juiced and you're like, let's go. And I got to my first basketball practice and I was like, man, everybody's really good here. Like, like you're like a top dog on my, like, kind of like a travel team in the US. And then I came here and I'm like, damn, everybody's balling out. They're really good. They're big, they're fast. The speed of the game is different. And then I'm like riding the bench, and then you're like getting to know the players, and then the language. Like I'm used to speaking English on the court, and all of a sudden you're speaking Chinese. And then it's just, and then the way they play is different. So I was like, man, this is tough. And then, like I said, the really tough part was once you start playing as a professional basketball player, you play for money. Yeah. Everybody's playing for money. Yeah. Now, what happens when you play for money is if I get good and I'm a point guard and you're the starting point guard, if I get more PT, means you get less PT. Yeah. If you get less PT, means you make less. Yeah. So point guards aren't friends. Right. That was a dynamic I wasn't used to. Like when I'm growing up, like I played ball with my best buddies. We were best friends. We go play basketball, and then afterwards we go eat at Denny's, and we go swimming. We go to Disneyland. We go play tennis. We watch movies. We're friends. We're like a family. Here, like basketball practice ends, and everybody is like different. Like the local players kind of go this way, and then the foreigners go this way, and then the foreigners that are like same position, they don't hang out, and the local players that are the same position, or they kind of grew up in different neighborhoods, they don't hang out, like because tension. Everybody's just playing for money. Yeah. So like when I went and like I was asking players for help because the playbook is so thick, I would ask them, hey man, can you help me out? They're like, hey man, just read it yourself. See, cut. Because they don't want to help me out. Yeah. Because if I got better, they're getting less PT. Yeah. So that competition, which I understood as a business, was a little bit demoralizing as a basketball player. I was like, oh, this is kind of salty. It kind of sucks. So it wasn't a fun thing. And then we practiced 2-a-days. 2 hours in the morning, 2 hours at night, which is a lot of basketball because there's also 2 hours of workout. At the gym, like physical workout, lifting. That's 6 hours of physical workout, and traveling to and from the gym was about 45 minutes. Both ways. So I'm traveling 45 minutes to go to a 2 hour workout, 45 minutes home, go to gym, come back, sleep, eat, and at night go to the gym again, 45 minutes, come back. It was like a whole day. It was tiring. So after about 2 months, I actually called home and said, there was like some tears and just homesickness. I was like, this is rough. This is rougher. And then so when I got the opportunity to be a VJ in television and more pay, it was a no-brainer.
Yeah.
I called up my dad and said, Dad, Pa, I'm staying in Taiwan, but I'm not playing ball no more.
Yeah.
He was like, what? What's going on? And I'm like, I'm going to be a VJ. And he's like, what's that? He asked, he's like, what's that?
Right.
What's that? And I'm like, oh, it's going to be a video jockey. He's like, but you can barely speak Chinese. And he's like, and I'm like, they want that, Dad. They want that English speaker. So it wasn't difficult. It was actually a no-brainer. It was easy. And then from then, I never looked back.
Yeah.
I always wondered what would have happened if I got better at basketball or if it worked out. But I think it worked out for the better in this one, man.
Yeah.
Definitely.
And then when you first when you were first a video jockey versus like the entertainment industry now, do you think it's changed over the years, and like how have you adapted to that?
I think all industries change.
Yeah.
I think definitely television has changed. There's been a few kind of landmark changes in my industry. So when I first started, the reason I got the job as a video jockey was because in the late 90s in Taiwan, cable television opened up. Mm-hmm. So back in the day, there was only 4 stations. 中视, 台视, 华视, 明视. These are the 4 terrestrial stations in Taiwan. Stations that you don't need cable. Basically, you buy a television antenna and you can watch.
Right.
And then in the late 90s, they opened up cable station licenses. So all of a sudden, all these TV stations came up. Bada, Sanli, TVBS, Dongsen, MTV, Channel V, Rock TV.
Yeah.
100 stations all of a sudden were on TV.
Yeah.
Now, 100 stations need what? They need content.
Yeah.
They need shows. They need commercials. They need hosts. So that actually went from like small pie to like a humongous pie. So all these TV stations opened up. So Rock TV, which I was a part of, needed content 24 hours a day too. Like TV don't sleep.
Yeah.
Right? You turn on the TV, it could be repeated at 8-hour loops, but you needed content.
Yeah.
So they needed people to host things and television, and we're like VJing, like introducing videos and music, but we're on the streets doing interviews, talking about fashion, talking about sports. They needed stuff. So actually that opened up. And then as cable stations needed more and more content, they needed a fight for content. They started doing more talk shows. So about 5-6 years later, there was like a proliferation of all these talk shows on television, and they needed content. So all these celebrities, artists that, to my admittance, that we really had no talent. We weren't singers or actors. We all of a sudden were just going on television talking about stories. It was like interviews all day. And if you had interviews that were interesting, if you had interesting stories that you could talk about, then you can go back and do it on another station and another station. So there was like a 10-year period where all I did was all these television talk shows and game shows. But that allowed for a whole group of artists, celebrities to have jobs.
Yeah.
So that opened it up. And then I think another landmark was social media. So you guys are in the social media era.
Yeah.
So social media opened up things even more. But what it did was it kind of killed cable. Because before, people used to go home, 回家看电视, right? Like, I gotta watch the show on 8 o'clock on Sunday night, whatever, on TVBS, and watch. And now you don't have to, because you can watch any show anytime you like. I could be watching at Starbucks, waiting in line for 5 minutes. I could be watching the taxi, watching on the subway on the way to school or work, right? But the problem with that is it shortened people's kind of like attention spans. Before you could sit at TV and watch for an hour. Now you're just watching 5 minutes. Kids can watch for 3 minutes. If it's not interesting, swipe.
It's all clips.
Clips, TikToks, moving. So that changed everything too. So now everything is like compacted. Everything has to get your interest within 10 seconds, 15 seconds. So now it's kind of like this TikTok, IG, Facebook, YouTube, Line kind of media. So these things change for everybody. So now, we're moving away. So I moved away from TV. I don't even do any TV anymore. Now it's just all social media and live events, because live events is the one thing you can't replace.
Right.
Live TV, live hosts, live events, interviews for sports athletes, celebrities, things like that. Where I think for industries that young people are looking for, you want to find where you're irreplaceable. AI is changing the game. AI is the next game changer, right? AI is changing everything. Robotics is changing everything. Jobs are being replaced. So you have to find a job that's irreplaceable. So very early on, I'm like, I'm going to be a live host for events, because you can't have a robot host
you can't replace that,
right? I can replace almost everything else. So I want to be a live host. Specifically, I want to be a live host male for sports. That was something I identified really early that I felt was my level of expertise. And the sports is because I played ball.
Yeah.
And I really love Major League Baseball,
Yeah.
NBA,
Yeah.
NFL football. I love NASCAR. I love racing. I love athletics, Olympics, stuff like that. And also what I did was a lot of these TV shows that I went on that I told you about, those were my stories. I would
Yeah.
always talk about sports on these TV shows. So marketing teams and companies would be like, oh, Alex really likes sports.
Yeah.
He likes basketball and he really understands grassroots college or high school basketball in the US. If we have a basketball event, let's call him.
Right. Yeah.
And then so when I got my first basketball event like 20 years ago, it was through Nike, and they really liked it because not only did I know at the time Vince Carter was coming,
Yeah. Wow.
and I knew he was from UNC, but I also knew in high school where he went and in
Yeah.
his AAU team
Yeah.
and how he did, things that people would be interested here but they didn't know.
Yeah.
Right? They know Vince Carter's Toronto Raptors
yeah.
All-Star, but they didn't know his short career at UNC and before that.
Yeah.
And I think that adds a lot of value. So I was like, oh, you know what? I need to start reading about even deeper into other sports. So I really got into tennis. I really got into NASCAR, Indy, F1. And then going on all these shows talking about this, all these companies that host events are like, hey, we got an F1 driver coming. Let's call Alex. Because they remembered.
Yeah.
I'm talking about Michael Schumacher or something. Yeah. So I think that was kind of like a key insight for me, was really finding that niche market.
Yeah.
And almost all these athletes in the world are foreigners, right? So they
Yeah.
speak English.
Yeah.
So that was my market that I kind of tapped into.
Yeah.
English bilingual interviews for professional athletes that are male. Right.
Yes.
That was kind of like the thing that I was kind of following, and
Yeah.
that helped me out. That was kind of like my roadmap.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Earlier on in your career, did you feel like being a jockey was just a way to make money? Because you mentioned about pay was an important factor, or did you actually genuinely enjoy it, and did you see it like?
I genuinely enjoyed it, but I didn't genuinely pursue it. It was something that kind of like lucked out and just fell into my lap. Right, I'm playing basketball. I'm going to practice. I'm dreading it. I met some friends, and they took me to this casting, and I got the job.
Yeah.
And when I got the job, the pay was even better. So it was easy to decide which one I would try to pursue. Basketball for less money, tough. TV, exciting, new, more money. Let's try this, right? Because initially both were going to be temporary. I wasn't going to play basketball for life. I just was going to play for a season, 6 months, and see how it is. So I said, you know what, I'll commit 6 months to television. And I did. It was more exciting, and I continued to do it. And I kind of told myself I'll do it for another 6 months. It was like a renewal for myself.
Yeah.
I did it for another 6 months, and then I got slowly better at it and made more money. And then my wife now, which was my girlfriend at the time, Auntie Jackie, she came to Taipei also. And then she kind of fell into the industry. She came onto a show that I was hosting, kind of like American Idol.
Yeah.
And she won.
Yeah.
So we both got into it, and we were both young and adventurous, and it just seemed like it was fun. So it was something that kind of was fluid. It wasn't something that I liked or disliked. It just kind of fell in, and then I liked it, and then I pursued it. So I think we kind of got lucky in a lot of ways. I think I count my blessings. Not everybody gets to have a career doing something that they really love and makes financial sense. Yeah. Sometimes it's a toss between either. Like you could do a job that you don't like but makes a lot of money, or some job that you really like doesn't make a lot of money. I think we really got lucky. We got to do something we both love. I think that was the greatest thing, is that me and my wife are having this kind of concurrent journey doing things that we love, and we built a house and a home in Taiwan. I think we were super lucky to do that.
Yeah, 100%. So you're talking about like Vince Carter. Like us consumers, we don't know much about like these athletes that you worked with, but after like doing extensive research and interviewing them, do you think there's anything that us like consumers like that's interesting for us to know? That we
There's so much insight. I think I've been very lucky to meet like athletes and celebrities from all over the world. Like, just for me personally, because I'm such a big basketball nut.
Yeah.
I mean, like meeting Jordan was like the big thing.
Yeah.
Like Jordan was the big thing. This is my 27th 27th, 28th year in entertainment.
Yeah.
There's only been one time where I told my agent, I will work for free. It was for Michael Jordan.
Yeah.
So, like, this is like 15 years ago. There was like rumors in the wind that Michael Jordan was coming. It was just rumors.
Right.
And then so my agent calls me and says, hey, Alex, there's an event Nike wants you to do. They want to know if you're free for this date, but they can't tell you who it is.
Okay. Yeah.
And the minute they said that, because everything had to be about me, had to be a secret.
Right.
And they said, we can't tell you who it is. Usually they'll tell me, like, oh, Vince Carter's coming. Jason Williams is coming at the time.
Yeah.
And then I said, is it Jordan? And my agent, of course, he's like, I don't know.
Yeah.
And I said, okay, this is how we're going to do this. So you go back to the marketing team, the promotion, the production team, and tell them, if it's Michael Jordan, Alex will do it for free.
Yeah.
If it's not Michael Jordan, Alex is still available at those dates.
Yeah.
But we want this job.
Yeah.
We want this job. And then, of course, lo and behold, it was Michael Jordan. But I mean, I still got paid. But I mean, meeting Jordan was like, I think the downfall of that was like the pinnacle of meeting your idol. That was the pinnacle of interviews.
Oh, okay.
But it was kind of like in the middle of my career. I was like, it's like you got the taste of God. Jordan is the God, right? And it was like really early on.
Yeah.
And then I think the downfall was that everybody that came after Jordan, even though it was Kobe or LeBron or KD, it just pales to Jordan, right? It's just like meeting the tip of the spear, right? So I think you learn so much from these athletes. I think that one thing that I've learned over the 25, 27 years was that you realize that the difference between all these athletes and not even, I'm sorry, I take that back. Not just athletes, the celebrities that I met. Right. A lot of them are celebrities. The difference between like the icons, like when I say icons, I'm talking Jordan level, Kobe level, LeBron level. That's about it. And TV stars like Ryan Reynolds or like back in the day it was the Spice Girls were super hot. And then people like there's tons of people that Tom Cruise. The difference between like Kobe and Vince Carter physically is like this. Technically, actually, it's not even. Vince Carter jumps higher.
So athletic. Yeah.
He's faster. He's taller. He's got longer arms than Jordan. There's so many people that are so talented in all sports. Like I've met Nadal and Federer. The difference between number 1 and number 3 or number 5 is minimal. Right. It's really just mental. It's all purely mental and how they approach the game and how they approach. What I realized was it's not just how they approach the game. It's how they approach the game and apply it to their life. So when I say that, I'll give you a story. I mentioned Jason Williams. Do you know White Chocolate? The guy that used to be all flashy. And he was like back in the 90s, everybody loved him. Every kid, because he's throwing behind the back
I've seen those
the passes, and he's super flashy and he was good. He's super good. Vince Carter,
of course.
The human, he's Air Carter, right? Air Canada. He's like dunking on people, jumping over people. But when they came to Taiwan, they come and then they're super relaxed, which is fine. They're on vacation, right? They want to go party. They want to go to clubs. They'll do the job, and then they'll have fun, and they'll do the interviews, and they're laughing, they're having fun, and they bring 10 guys. They have their posse, and then they go from Taipei to Japan, and then they go to Europe and stuff like that. Michael Jordan comes. He comes with one dude. It's his best friend. He comes with one dude. They get off the plane. They check into the hotel. They start working out. Right? He brings a chef. He brings Kobe brings, sometimes he'll bring a chef, sometimes he'll bring his trainer. Kobe comes and he'll do the interview in the morning. We'll pack it tight in Taipei or Shanghai. Interview from 9 to 12. He'll go have his trainer or his chef make a private meal. Because for him, there's no off season. For him, it's a 12-month season. I'm just not playing basketball. I'm not playing a competitive NBA game here. I'm prepping for it though. I'm eating a healthy, super healthy lunch, and then at 1 to 4, leg day. Let's go work out leg day. And then come back, nap, and then do the interviews. Go to sleep early.
Wow.
And he's doing this in the off season, right?
Yeah.
He's doing this in July, August, preparing for October when the season starts again. Now, kind of like Jordan does that too. But you see people like other guys that come and they're out having fun, which is nothing wrong.
Yeah, of course.
But then you see the determination level is different.
Yeah.
Then you realize why that they're just so iconic level rather than just great all-star level.
Yeah.
Like, you got a lot of these guys that are balling out, all-stars, 10 years, 15 years, super guys, right? But then you got the guys that win multiple, right?
Mindset.
Like Jordan's got 6, Kobe's got 5,
Yeah.
right? LeBron's got 5, Curry's got 5. Like, the mindset is different.
Yeah, it's
That's
different.
just the difference. Like, can people shoot like Curry? I think there's a lot of guys that actually can shoot like Curry, right? Dame can shoot like Curry, right? There's other guys that Clay can shoot like. Well, they're on the same team, so it doesn't matter. But there's guys. But the difference in work ethic and then how it applies to the rest of their lives. I think that's the main difference.
Yeah.
Like everything. Like, I'll tell you the story about Michael Jordan. It's awesome. When we're gonna meet Michael Jordan in Beijing, this is the first time I met him. They come up and they're like, Alex, you gotta be downstairs at the hotel at 8 a.m. I'm like, 8 a.m.? They're like, yeah, be there at 7:45.
Yeah.
Wear a suit.
Yeah.
I was like, what? They're like, don't be late.
Yeah.
That's all they said.
Yeah.
And I'm like, damn, okay. So like, I'm like getting up at 6 a.m. suit. I'm sitting there at 7:30. I'm nervous.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
7:45. I'm in the lobby. Elevator starts coming down. People start coming out. Like, he's coming. Like, he's got like teams of lawyers. Yeah. And then like 7:55, he comes out. He comes out, and everybody's in suits.
Wow.
We're going like the United Nations and stuff.
Yeah.
Right? Jordan comes out and he's got like first row bodyguards.
Wow.
And then next is like Nike execs, and then like kind of inner circle, and then him and his boy. Right. He's got his best friend.
Wow.
It's like these circles of people, and then they come up to me, and then they're like, "This is the MC for the next 3 days. His name is Alex," and he's like, "Hello." And then they said address him as Mr. Jordan.
Yeah.
Don't call him Mike.
Wow.
So I'm like,
Mr.
"Hey,
Jordan.
what's up, Mr.?" He's like, "I'm like, what's up, Mr. Jordan?" I'm like sweating and stuff like that. And then I'm like, okay, so we go to the breakfast buffet area, and there's like this long table, 10 people, and then he sits down at the front, and there's an open seat next to him, and he's like, "Alex, you sit here." And I'm like, "Me? I'm sitting here?" What?
Yeah.
I'm super nervous, right?
Yeah.
And then he's like, "Alex, tell me what we're doing today." And I'm like, "Oh, I'm sorry. I'm just doing the 3 events this afternoon."
Yeah.
And he's like, "Get me somebody to tell me my itinerary."
Yeah.
Right? And then you realize how meticulous. He wants to know every minute of the day. He wants to know when this breakfast meeting. He has a breakfast meeting every morning to know the rest of the day.
Wow.
And he wants to know by the minute. He wants to know when this meeting ends. He's like, 9 o'clock. He's like, 9 when we leaving. 9 o'clock. And then where we going? Great Wall of China.
Yeah.
He's like, okay, what's the itinerary? ETA. He's like, 75 minutes.
Yeah.
So 9 to 10 we're leaving. 10 we're leaving. We're arriving at 11:15.
Yeah.
Who's driving? What car am I in?
Wow.
And then how long are we going to be at the Great Wall?
Yeah.
40 minutes. Are we doing interviews? We taking pictures? How many are we taking? How many interviews are we doing? How long are we at the Great Wall? Now we're coming back. Okay, where we're going to? We're going to go to this elementary school, and we're going to do a court dedication with the principal.
Yeah.
What's the principal's name?
Wow.
Does he have kids? Do his kids play basketball?
Yeah.
Like, it's crazy, almost like a nut job. Like, itinerary, everything. And then you realize why he's like that.
Yeah.
Because he's super prepared.
Yeah.
No surprises. And then you realize that's how he plays the game.
Yeah.
Like, when he's playing against the Knicks, he knows the starting 5. He knows who's guarding him. He knows the guy that's guarding him, his weakness.
Yeah.
He knows the guy he's guarding, which way, that guy likes to get here. He likes to shoot the shot in this corner. I'm not going to let him.
Yeah.
He's done all the homework. Somebody like him is Kobe. And that's about it. That type of like ace, like that type of detail,
Mentality,
OCD detail
Yeah.
is in those guys' DNA.
Yeah.
And that's kind of like Roger Federer. Like,
Yeah.
when I've met all these guys that are at the top of their game, you realize that's how they are. They're all kind of isolationists. Like, they don't have many friends.
Yeah.
Because they have a standard of living, of playing.
Yeah.
They don't even play.
They
A standard of living and
just-
competition.
Yeah.
That they can't accept
Yeah.
anything that other people do that's
Right.
not up to their level.
Yeah.
Like we can't be friends because you can't like let's go play tennis for fun. Like I can go play tennis with you guys with your dads and stuff and have fun. They can't have fun. If they're gonna play tennis, let's play for real.
Oh wow.
Right, let's play for ping pong. Let's play for real.
Yeah.
There's no everything is like competitive edge, and then you just realize that's how they're wired, and that's why they're so good.
Right.
It's crazy.
Yeah.
And then you realize that hey, that seems like the way if we applied that. I've learned a lot from like people like this, and I like if that's the way I apply myself, then you get that amount of success also. So I've tried to emulate that. I can't do it as them.
Right.
I try to plan my days. I try to plan my interviews. When I work, I'm super prepared for my interviews. I got 50 questions in my head.
Yeah.
But I want to ask one and go deeper. Right.
Yeah.
I want to know two and go deeper. And then I have all sorts of background. I'm ready to go. And that I've learned from them. That obsessive compulsive type behavior.
Yeah.
But I think it's difficult. But for them, it's almost easy.
Yeah.
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 Like, I'm gonna ask a more personal question. This is
Go ahead.
something I'm really interested in. I think a few years back, the Houston Rockets came to Taiwan for an exhibition game with the Pacers.
Yeah.
I was wondering, like, if you were like in any sort of part, like, were you part of it?
No, I went to the game.
Oh.
I went to the game.
Yeah.
I went to the game. I did interviews on the side because that was put on by the NBA. So I work a lot with Nike. So what we did was we were at the game. It's an NBA game, and that game was big because Jeremy played.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
Jeremy Lin played. But we did a lot of side events because a lot of the Pacer athletes and the Houston Rocket athletes were Nike signed athletes. So we did a lot of events on the side at different stores. Yeah. We did signings. We did interviews. And the funny part is, actually, for the game time, I just watched the game.
Yeah.
But my wife was actually... They made fun of her. They brought her out during halftime, and they blindfolded her, and they were gonna do the dunk over her with the gymnast.
Oh,
it was funny because she got out. She got they made her come out. Everybody clapped for her, and they stood her underneath like in front of the rim.
Yeah.
And then they had the guys like fly, and she's like scared. They're like, okay, we're gonna do a super crazy stunt now.
Yeah.
We're gonna blindfold you so you don't get scared.
Yeah.
So they blindfolded her, and then everybody left the court.
They
left the court
God.
for like, and then it just got all quiet.
Yeah.
And it was funny because she just stood there for like a minute.
Yeah.
And everybody's just watching her, and she's blindfolded. And then like the MC announcer was like saying, "Are you ready?" She was like,
Yeah.
And then it just went on forever.
Yeah.
And then she was after a while, it got so cringy. And then she was like, she took it off and she realized she was being fun of.
Yeah.
So she ran off the court.
Yeah.
But that was a great game because that was the first real NBA event. NBA game in Taiwan. That was a big event in Taiwan. This is at Taipei de Xiaojudan. It was a big event. I remember that because the Pacers guy, the starting point guard for the Pacers was Earl Watson. Earl Watson was important to me because I'm from UCLA. Earl Watson was the point guard at UCLA. So there's a lot of connection. Earl Watson was there. Obviously, Jeremy Lin was big. But I don't think the NBA games have ever come back.
Yeah.
They've had them in Shanghai. They have them in Tokyo.
Yeah, I'm guessing you didn't meet James Harden, right? Because he's kind of my idol, but...
Oh, is he?
But he's not with Nike, so...
Yeah, he left Nike. He's with Adidas now. So I don't do a lot of Adidas events. I do all Nike events. Yeah. So I've never met Harden. Never met Harden.
Yeah.
I was wondering if Taiwan... It holds a place in your heart because this is where you're from, right?
Yes, definitely.
But then, did you ever consider going, moving in a country other than Taiwan, like working somewhere else?
Well, so I do, actually. So Taiwan is my base. I'm born in Taiwan. I left when I was 4, so I don't remember much from my childhood. I grew up in LA from kindergarten, like I said, through college. So I consider LA my home.
Yes.
But now I've been back in Taiwan for 25, 27 years now that Taiwan is really my home.
Yeah.
So like when I go to the States for the summer with my kids, I'm in the hotels, and after 2 weeks, I'm like, damn, I want to go home.
Yeah.
I'm actually talking about Taiwan. So I love Taiwan. I love Taipei. It's where we're based. But work takes me anywhere. So obviously most of my work is still here, but I work quite a bit in other cities. So I work in Shanghai a lot. Besides Taipei, I probably work in Shanghai. Second most, and then Beijing, and then there's a few places like I'll go to like Bangkok or Korea for work in there. Singapore. But mostly it's Taipei, Shanghai, Beijing. And most of the time it's because celebrities are going to different places. So I love going to different places because you meet different fans. It's a different type of culture. Like I've been in the Philippines for an event. Yeah. Like I thought Taiwan was nuts for basketball.
Yeah, I feel
Dude, Manila is
crazy,
off the hook. It's crazy. Like it's crazy, scary. Like people are nuts for basketball.
Yeah.
Oh my God, I was shocked at how crazy they are for basketball. So it's actually kind of cool to see because you're like, damn, these people go crazy. You know, for their local basketball, for the pro players that come. And then you'll see different things like it's different. Like when in the U.S. and you guys have gone to the U.S. quite a bit.
Right. Yeah.
So in the U.S. sports is built differently. Like fan base is built on where you're from. Like if I'm in LA, I'm a Dodger fan. I'm a Laker fan. I'm a UCLA or a USC fan. I'm an Angels fan. You know, I'm a fan because that's my squad, that's my crew, that's my city, right? If you're a Boston fan, you're a Red Sox fan. If you're New York, you're a Yankee fan, right? That's it. You're not a Braves fan, Atlanta Braves fan, right? You're a Yankees fan, like you're a Lakers fan or Boston Celtics fan. Now, when you get to Asia, because there's no allegiance to a city, allegiances in Asia are more player based, or team based, like what we U.S. call bandwagon fans. So in the U.S. you kind of get looked down upon because like there's a ton of Warriors fans. Everybody loves the Warriors because of Curry, and then you got Clay, and why? Because in the last 10 years they're the most dominant team, right? So when you're growing up from your formidable years from 8 to 18, the Warriors have won everything. You love Curry, changes the game. He's exciting to watch. So you're a Curry fan, but like if you went to college in Philadelphia where the Sixers are based, and you're a Curry fan, and they're like, dude, why are you a Curry fan? And you're like, I'm a Warriors fan. And they're like, are you from San Francisco? And you're like, no, I'm from Taipei. And they're like, what the hell? Right? They're like wondering what the hell. So it was a little bit somewhat adjustment for me when I first came here to understand the whole allegiance thing. And then so a lot of fans are Jeremy Lin fans in Taiwan. So when he was playing for when he was playing the Knicks, they're like, "Oh, go Knicks!" Jeremy Lin, and then he got traded to the Rockets, and they're like, "Go Rockets!" In the States, you wouldn't do that. In the States, if Jeremy got traded from the Knicks, if you're a Knicks fan, he got traded to Rockets. You're rooting against Jeremy the next
like
time.
LeBron.
You're rooting against the Rockets when he comes into Madison Square Garden. You're not going Jeremy. You're going Knicks still, right? And then he gets traded to the Lakers, and they're like, "Go Lakers!" And then now he's in Taipei, New Taipei Kings. They're like, go New Taipei Kings. So the allegiance is different. The fan base is built different. So no knock against it, but it's just different. You know? So I enjoy going to these cities and seeing all these fans because when I go to especially when I go to Shanghai or second tier cities, they love the player. When Kobe comes, they go nuts. And they're just like Kobe. I don't care what team he plays for. I'm just in love with Kobe, right? So it's cool to see. And like we do a lot of events for like F1 also. The allegiance to Lewis Hamilton. Or Michael Schumacher back in the day. Or whoever it is. They switch teams. So I'm sure like people that are Lewis Hamilton fans for Mercedes, now they're going to be Lewis Hamilton fans for Ferrari because he's changing teams. Right? It's cool to see the dynamic. So I love, back to your question, I love going to different cities. And so I had the opportunity to go and take a lot of events in all of Greater China about 15 years ago. So I did take the opportunity. And it was good to get out and see different things. So it was exciting. But I do wish that I can go to the US or Europe. I would love to do European soccer. Like I would love to do a soccer event, football, because you always see these clips of like, dude, Spanish and the British. They're like, I want to go to a Manchester United game. Like, I don't even like Man U. I just want to go. I just want to go to the stadium. Right? I've been to Barcelona Stadium, Barca, in Barcelona. I was like, man, this stadium is big. Can you imagine 100,000 people rocking it? I wouldn't mind going to a soccer game. La Liga or British UK soccer game.
I mean, you've met a lot of celebrities like. You said Michael Jordan and you even said Ryan Reynolds.
I only said Ryan Reynolds because that's my wife's favorite actor. So my wife loves Ryan Reynolds. That's why I said Ryan Reynolds. But Ryan Reynolds not exactly on the top of my list, but definitely for my wife.
But if you could if you could like have dinner with any one of these athletes or icons again, who would it be?
Ooh, wow. Has to be an athlete?
No, just like any celebrity that you've met.
Wow. That's a big one. Let me see.
Yeah.
I got a few, man. I can't do one. Off the top of my head, for one athlete, I'd like to meet is Magic Johnson.
Yeah.
Just because, like I said, my formidable years, when between the ages of like 10 and 18, when I was growing up in LA, man, we won 5 championships.
Yeah.
The Lakers won 5 championships, and it was Magic Johnson. It's Magic Johnson's town.
Yeah.
So what the younger generation views like Kobe to the Lakers in this generation is what Magic was to me. Magic was the guy with the smile, flashy. He brought Showtime, and he won as a rookie.
Yeah.
And then he won 4 more. So he won 5 championships in 10 years. So to me, that I think it'd be pretty cool. And also the fact that after he played in the NBA, Magic Johnson is one of the most successful black entrepreneurs in all of America.
Yeah.
He brought theaters and franchises and F&B restaurants into inner city LA and branched out. Now he's part owner of the Dodgers, and he really is somebody who is like an icon in LA. So where I'm from, he represents the city. He's done good, and he's really given back. So I think as an athlete, Magic would be pretty high up there. It's the person I want to have dinner with. The next person I'd love to have dinner with is Barack Obama. I mean, to me, that's just like icons aside. That's just influential people in American history, world history. I just think Barack is one of those people that, like, politics aside, I don't want to get into Democrats and Republicans, but he's just one of the people that, like, growing up in America, like, your president, like I was like happy, proud to see Barack, right? And this will stir up a lot of political people, but to me, it was somebody that I felt that he had to overcome quite a bit.
Like
you have to overcome quite a bit to become the first black president of the United States. To see what America was like reading the books, just not even 200 years ago, 100 years ago. 80 years ago, what America was like, for him to become president, I think is pretty monumental. For him to galvanize a country, I think it's pretty amazing what type of person he is. And also that he brought this certain type of coolness to the office. Like he played ball at the White House. He's hooping and he's talking. He resonates with young kids and stuff. So even politics aside, I thought a lot of things were cool to see him because he wasn't that kind of like old school president that I grew up with. That I'm like, I don't have anything in common with this guy. He's like a distant. I thought Barack was pretty cool.
It's like a symbol.
It's like a symbol. So I think Barack, from a cultural standpoint, from a sports standpoint, I think like Magic would be pretty cool.
Yeah.
I mean, there's a lot of people I have dinner with, but those two pop off at the top of my head.
I mean,
and a few hot movie stars.
Okay.
But we're not going to get into that.
Right. But I mean, going back with your interviews or when it comes to your job as like an entertainer, do you feel like your relationship with these celebrities that you meet, is it like friendly? Like, do you guys talk like you guys are friends, or is it more professional?
Definitely more professional. Definitely more professional. But like I said, there are certain athletes that lead themselves a certain way, and they apply that to their lives, and you realize why they're so good at what they do and why they're so famous is because they treat you in a respectful way. So I've interviewed a lot of athletes and a lot of entertainers, celebrities, singers, actors, and stuff. And some people won't treat you with as much as respect as you like. You know, just as a human being.
Right.
And what the commonality that I figured out over that is they're actually not the most famous ones. Because I think they treat their agent, the media, the owner of the team, the fan base that way. And that's why they're not at the top of their game. But why does Michael Jordan or Kobe treat you in a certain way? And why is he put up here at this level? Is because he treats everybody the same way. So I would say me and Kobe, I've done maybe 40 events for Kobe over the last 10 years before he passed away. Now, me and Kobe are cordial, but he'll remember me. He'll be like, Alex, what's up? You know, see you again the next year. After the first year, be Alex, what's up? how's your wife? How are your kids?
Yeah.
But, you know, we'll leave it at that.
Yeah.
We're not buddy. We're not going
Yeah.
out drinking and exchanging phone numbers. Hey, let me check your Instagram, you know, but he's cordial and he knows, right?
Yeah.
And then, let's say somebody like, people wouldn't know, but I'll throw this name out there. His name is Eliud Kipchoge. Eliud
the
Kipchoge
runner.
is the greatest marathon runner
Yeah.
of all time.
Yeah, yeah.
Like, of all time.
Yeah.
He's undeniable, just
Yeah.
the greatest. He's the GOAT of running.
Yeah.
You know, he's just this super cordial family guy, and he sees me every time. And he's not like a talkative, crazy social person, but he's like, Alex, how you doing? You know, I feel like we're friends.
Yeah.
And he'll be like, hey, how's your wife? How's your kids? They go to school now. And we'll talk, you know?
Yeah.
And the next year we'll come back and we'll have that same rapport. And there's certain athletes that will do that. And then there's certain athletes that, I don't want to say any names, but that I've done 20, 30 events for too. And we come back every year and it's like, Alex. He's like, oh, I did your event last year. And the year before that. Like, oh, okay, I'm sorry. Sorry, bro, I forgot. But I've done it so many times, right?
Yeah.
And then there's guys that just like, oh, okay, whatever.
Yeah.
You know, they're not rude, but you can tell it's a job for them.
Yeah.
So I think generally we're not friends, but I think the ones that are really good at what they do, they understand relationships. Let me tell you another story about Tom Cruise.
Yeah.
Tom Cruise is probably arguably the most famous movie star of 3 generations.
Yeah.
The last 30 years. He's been around.
Yeah.
Why has someone like him been around for 30 years and people fallen off? Because I think he is arguably the greatest at PR. So one year he came to Taiwan, and when he came to Taiwan, it was like a media blitz. It was nuts. From the minute he landed on tarmac at the airport, all the way. So I didn't get to interview him that day, but I was at the interview party. So he's super late. He's late like an hour.
Yeah.
And the media is like getting kind of tired. Like, dude,
Yeah.
stop high. Like, he's like big headed or something. They're thinking. But we don't know at the end whether it was him or there was actual fundamental delay. But we're like 70, 80 minutes. We're at the Shangri-La Hotel.
Yeah.
The Far Eastern in Taipei.
Yeah.
We're in the meeting room. There's like 150 people there.
Yeah.
Everybody's just waiting for him. And it's just like, oh my God, when is he coming? And then after it gets to like an hour and a half, people start getting agitated.
Yeah.
Bam, the door opens. He walks in. He comes in and he goes to every person. Hey man, I'm sorry. I'm Tom Cruise. Thank you for staying.
Wow.
Hi, my name is Tom Cruise. What's your name? Adam. Nice to meet you, man. I'm sorry.
Yeah.
When he did this to every person.
Wow.
It sent chills. Like people were like, wow, goosebumps. He did this for like 20 minutes because he had to go through every person. He really apologized, shook everybody's hand, looked them in the eye, and said sorry. And you know, and the funny part is like all the female reporters are like, 没事啦, okay 啦. You know, 10 minutes ago, everybody's like pissed off. Damn, this is 耍大牌. Oh, they sorry. Diva attitude. And then they come, 没事. Everybody's like, okay. And even I was like, this guy is awesome. Yeah. This guy is awesome. And he got to the front. He's like, everybody, I'm so sorry, man. We got delayed. You know, I take responsibility. And he endeared people even more. He actually flipped the script. His entrance wouldn't have been as powerful if he was just on time and he walked in.
Yeah.
It was actually more powerful.
Right.
That he made you wait and have all these emotions, and he came in and genuinely said sorry.
Yeah.
Like other people have been late and they're like, oh, I'm sorry, guys. And it was like, okay, whatever.
Yeah.
But he was actually genuine. So I realized right there, I'm like, this guy's badass. This guy's like a marketing genius. Whether it was real or not, if it's set up, brilliant. If it was not set up, he really turned it into his advantage. You know, and then you realize why he's Tom Cruise, why he's so lovable and great, because I'm sure that's how he treats his crew. He treats the director, the best supporting actress. He genuinely makes you feel good. Yeah. I imagine he makes a movie set feel good. Yeah. You know, I think that's how the great people are. And that's kind of like the difference. Yeah. You know, like the difference between the ordinary and the extraordinary. Yeah. That little bit of extra, right? Yeah. So I think that is pretty unique about people like that. Yeah. And then you learn that. So like I've taken pieces away from Kobe and Jordan and Tom Cruise and try to apply it to our lives. I think because kind of like our goal in life is to learn from people that have become successes and learn why they are successful and apply that to our lives, right? If we can learn a little bit from all the most successful people in our lives, I think you kind of become like successful. Like I tell my son, and you know my son, like there's always these successful people that say, like, if you hang around with 5 really smart people, you'll be the 6th.
Yeah.
If you hang around with 5 really driven people, you'll be the 6th.
Yeah.
If you hang out with 5 lazy ass people, you'll be the 6th
Who you
lazy
surround
ass
yourself
person.
with.
Like you surround yourself with these really badass people and you learn from them, you will become that, even if you weren't that, right? So I think that's kind of like a moniker to kind of live by, to learn from why these, and I've been lucky to meet some of these athletes and learn why they are so successful, right?
Yeah.
Not all of them are.
Yeah.
And then you kind of see, like I said, the difference between the top 5 greatest NBA players in the next 10. The difference is just that little bit of extra.
Yeah.
Right? So I think in that sense, it's something to learn by.
Yeah.
It's actually pretty cool.
I have one last question to wrap it up.
Go ahead.
Was there any part of your career where you felt like unmotivated and you felt like giving up? And what advice would you give to those people out there if they're going through like this period of hardship?
I don't think I've ever wanted to give up. I don't believe in that. I've had difficult times, and there'll be difficult things to kind of overcome in these obstacles to kind of persevere.
Yeah.
And I think there's moments where you feel dejected and you feel like you're in this trough. But I think those are the moments of kind of reflection and understanding what I need to do better.
Yeah.
The reason you're there is because you obviously made a mistake or you failed at that one thing or you fell, right? And now you need to get up. So I think, like I said before when we started, like my very first news conference that I did when I was an entertainer, I bombed it. I just, it sucked.
Yeah.
It sucked ass. Like I was so bad at my Chinese, my Rock TV boss had to come up and host it for me.
Yeah.
And I said, I don't want to do this anymore. This is stupid. I can't do this.
Yeah.
I can do the music television on the TV. It's edited, and but I can't do anything live.
Yeah.
And then my boss came up to me and he said, you know what? We're going to practice.
Yeah.
You know how we're going to do this? You're going to start doing radio. You're going to go into radio and you're going to do radio. And I was like, what? I don't even know the first thing about radio. But he made me go do radio, and I did radio for like 6 years. So when I did radio, it was practice. It was practice speaking into a mic 2 hours a day, Monday through Friday. I did live radio. I did from 8 to 10 at night, 10 to 12 at night. I did 4 to 6 in the morning, 6 to 8. And you talk different ways. You talk tonation, interviews. Radio prepared me, but I didn't know it at the time. I didn't understand why my boss wanted me to do radio. But he said, if you do radio for a year, you'll get so good at talking and interviewing and the practice, and you'll never be nervous. There'll never be a situation where it's new because radio's live. After 2 years, you'll hit every situation. So I didn't want to do it, and I did it, and then after that 1 year, 2 years, I realized that helped me so much. And looking back upon it, I realized those are the moments, right? So for TV, radio, I think I have these moments where you feel like it didn't go well. I've had interviews that bombed too, even till now.
Yeah.
I mean, they're not as bad as before.
Yeah.
Much more far in between. But I think you do have these moments where you don't do as well as you think you plan or prepared to do. But I think that if you did the preparation that you were supposed to do, and it just didn't work, it's just like a basketball game or a football game or a tennis match. You can't win them all.
Yeah.
Right? You just lose sometimes.
Yeah.
But there's a next match. There's a next interview. There's a next celebrity thing. There's a next event. And how do we prepare for that and do better? So I think my advice, you said, for if anybody was going to step up to like the hosting entertainment game, is that you got to be prepared for all those L's. You're going to get L's.
Yeah.
Right? But how do you get that W? Is that you got to be prepared. You got to be prepared, first of all. And then you got to seize that moment. And then I think the difference is, I always go back to it, you got to be a game time player. Because you can practice all you want, but you got to be a game situation. Yeah. So you got to have done done it more times than people have tried. Like you gotta just keep doing it, and then once you get there, then it kind of flows.
Experience.
So don't lessen experience. Experience is very important, and then you just gotta keep going. You gotta get up. And you gotta keep going. You can't give up. You just gotta keep going, and then one day that door will open. Like you just keep doing it, and you'll make it. And I think if you kind of geared yourself up to do this drive or this job, you can't give up. You got to do it. I think that's just my advice.
Yeah.
That's it.
That's great. Well, thank you, Alex, for coming.
No sweat, man. I had a great time.
Thank you.
Thank you for the interview. I think that I've been really lucky, and I think there's a lot of value in every job. As long as you kind of put your heart and soul into it. So thank you for giving me the opportunity to share.
Thank you.
Thank you so much. And we'll see you guys next time.
See you next time.
See you.